All right, so here I have few cells in this worksheet and I want to sum all the values from these cells. So these are the random cells and I will enter sum function normally, and after that I will press and hold the control key and select each of these cells one by one. Now when I press and hold the control key, Excel will automatically add a comma after each cells. So it will create a reference to all the cells that I have selected one by one. And after that, I will enter closing parenthesis because I want to close this function now. And to get the result, I will simply hit enter. So here I have the sum for all the random cells that I've selected in the sum function. So the idea is to press the control key and then select each cell one by one. That's it. All right, so here I have few numbers in the column A and I want to calculate square for these numbers. So for this, I'll use the function power, and in the first argument, which is number, I'll refer to the number for which I want to calculate the square, and in the second argument where the argument is power, so I'll use 2 because I want to calculate the square, and I'll close the function and hit enter. So this gives me the square of number 11. Now in the same way, I can also use a raise to power operator. So I'll refer to the number and enter the operator, and again I'll use 2 and hit enter. So this gives me the square of number 11. So you can use both of these methods according to your need. And here in the cell A1, I have a time value and I want to add 3 hours to this time. So for this, I'll refer to the cell A1 and enter a sum operator, and after that 3 by 24. So 3 is the number of hours that I want to add and 24 is the total number of hours that we have in a day. And the moment I hit enter, it returns 3:01 a.m. So this is exact 3 hours from 12:01 a.m. And in the same way, I can also use a function called time. And what I will do, I'll first refer to the cell where I have the original time, and after that I'll use the time function. And in time function, I will only specify the hour value, and for minutes I'll specify 0, and for seconds 0 as well. And now if I hit enter, it also gives me the same result. So these are the two methods that you can use to add hours in a time value. All right, so here I have old values in the column A and new values in the column B, and now I want to calculate the percentage variance between these values, these old and new values. For this, I'll use a very short and simple formula. I'll refer to the new value first and I'll minus the old value from it. So this will give me the difference between both of these values, and I'll enclosed this in brackets, and after that I'll use the division operator, and again I'll refer to the old value. And now the moment I hit enter, it gives me the percentage variance between these two values. So here 84% is the variance. That means the new value is above 84% from the old value. And now if I drag this formula, it gives me the percentage variance for all the values that I have. So here I will use two different functions to generate random dates. So the first function is rand between, and I will specify the first date and then the ending date. So this is a range of dates within which I want to generate these random dates. So now the moment I hit enter, it returns a random date which is between these two dates. So I'll freeze this reference, and now I will drag this formula to get more random dates. Now in the same way, I can also use the rand array function. That is a dynamic function, and in this function I need to specify the rows and columns in which I want to generate these dates, and then I need to specify the minimum and maximum, that is the starting and ending date. I will go with 5 rows and 2 columns, and minimum is the 1st January and the maximum is 31st March And now I will hit enter to get 10 random dates again between this range of 1st January to 31st March. So this is how you can use these two functions to generate random dates. Alright, so here I have a small data about products, price and quantity, and I want to get the average price, the weighted average of the price. So for this, I'll use two different functions, that is sum product and sum. First of all, I'll use the sum product function and get the sum product of price and quantity for all the 5 products. So I'll select price in the first array, and in the second array, I'll select the quantity. Now, the moment I hit enter, it gives me 98288.6. That is the sum of all the products. Multiplying price with quantity for all the 5 products and then calculating the sum of the products. And now after that, I will enter sum function and I will sum all the quantities. Now to get the weighted price, I need to divide this value with total quantity. So here I have the weighted average of price, that is 1445.42. Now I can simply use the both of the function in a single cell just by using the divide operator. And here I have 1445.25, that is the weighted average of the price. Now the moment I change the quantity, so if I convert 15 into 25, the weighted price will change. So this is the easiest way to calculate the weighted price or anything for which you want to calculate the weighted average. Here I have a time value in the cell A2 and I want to change the format of this time. So for this, I'll use the text function that allows me to specify in a different format or any specific format that I want to apply. So I'll enter the text function and I will refer to the cell A2 where I have the time value, and after that in the second argument, which is format text, I will specify the format that I want to apply. So I'll use HH, MM, and I also want seconds, and then I also want AM and PM. And after specifying the format, I will close the function and hit enter. So the format I have specified was hours, minutes, seconds. So here I have 12:01 and 33 seconds, which is PM, so the afternoon. So in this way you can change the format of time that you have. Here I have two different dates in the cell A1 and B1, and I want to count the number of years that we have between these two dates. So for this, I'll use a function that is called dateDiff, and this function is not there in the Excel list, but you can still use it. So I'll enter the function dateDiff, and in the first argument, because this function is not in the Excel's functions list, I need to specify the arguments. So the first argument is the starting date and the second argument is the ending date. Now in the third argument, I need to define the unit that I want to get from this function. So I want years. I'll enter double quotation marks and y, small y, and after that I'll close the function. Now this function returns 8. That means there are 8 complete years between these two dates. Now if I want to get the months which are after the 8 years, I'll use the same function, same way. I'll simply change the unit. So I'll use y and m. So it returns 7, that is 7 months. So 8 years and 7 months. And now I want to get days as well. So rest of the days. So I'll use DMD as a unit and hit enter. So it says 8 years, 7 months and 12 days between these two dates. So dateDiff function is the easiest way to calculate difference or count the the exact difference between 2 days. So I'll share a link in the description if you want to learn more about the date function. And here I have few values in these 5 cells, and I want to combine these values, and I want to put comma between all of these values. So for this I'll use the function text join. Text join is basically a new function which allows you to combine different values, and you can select that range in one go. So first of all, I'll specify the delimiter, that is the character or a value that I want to put between these values. So I'll specify the comma, and now I want to ignore the empty cells, even though I don't have any empty cells. So I'll ignore the empty cells, and now I'll select the range where I have the values, and now I'll hit enter. Now the moment I hit enter, it gives me all these values in the single cell, and it also put that commas between these values. So I'll edit a little bit, I'll add a space as well. So here I have all the 5 values with a comma between. So here I have few numbers here, and I want to round these numbers to the nearest 5. So what I will do, I'll use the mround function, and I'll specify the number that I want to round, and after that I will specify the multiple, that is 5, and hit enter. Now here 5 is the nearest to 4, so that is why it returns 5. But in the second number, which is 16, the nearest is 15, so it returns 15. So 15 is the number which is downwards from the 16, but 5 in case of the first number, 5 is a upward number, so it automatically identifies that where it needs to go, upward or downward.